Mopadanu Iawom.
What's your tone of voice, Buster?
I know shit's been crazy, but you're still my baby. And you still got the crown. I'm impatient like the crowd. No shit's been going down since you ain't been around. But you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around. Yeah. I know this girl named she my future baby mama. It was like a soap opera, how we left with the drama. Girl, you hot like a goosey soup. I miss your shy smile when I talk to you. Hey, you know that energy is pulling you. I don't care about the whoop-de-whoop. I just wanna get back to you. Pick up where we left off, lift off. I wanna kiss your mind and your lips, baby. To give space when you pissed off. Real talk, for real. I know shit's been crazy, but you're still my baby. And you still got the crown. I'm impatient like the crowd. No shit's been going down since you ain't been around. But you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around, yeah. What's up, party people, to another episode of Who Asked You Podcast. I'm your host, Stoody to Groovey, and things do go around and around and around. Yeah, it's early in the morning. I think I'm gonna start something new. I think I got a name for it. I don't know. I don't want to say it because people be stealing stuff. But I think I'm gonna start a new show, maybe even a new channel. I don't know. But this morning we have something very, very, very dope and important to talk about. But before we do that, I want to say I'm doing my own sponsorship. This episode is sponsored by myself in the book, The Junk and Junk Food, a comprehensive look at corner store chemistry. You can get that book on Amazon for $19.99 today. The link is in the description. Excuse me. If you want to learn about the chemicals that's seen or not that's seen on the labels of the snack foods that you eat, that book is for you. It will tell you all of the poisons and why food is able to be poisoned and all that stuff. Very, very important information. There's a link in the description for that. And as well, the song that was playing before I started running my mouth was Twin Flames, by myself. That is my new single. The link is in the description for you to listen to that as well. But let's get into what we're actually going to be talking about. As you've seen on the title, the UN has finally recognized that the United States of America has been doing crimes against humanity as far as their treatment of indigenous and so-called black people. Yes, finally. And I know that we've all been saying it like, yo, they always trying all these other countries. Why are we getting like looked over? And it's finally happened. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and we're going to look at the article. We're going to read it probably step by step because it's early morning, and whether you're watching this later or not, all of this information is very vital. So let's just start from the top. I got this article from UNAC, that is the United National Anti-War Coalition, which is the largest and broadest anti-war and social justice coalition in the United States. Their purpose is to bring together the desperate organizations and issues representing people in struggle today into unifying collective action in opposition to the major perpetrator of war and injustice in the world, the United States government, along with its allies and proxies. So that's their mission statement right there. And this article was posted November 3rd, but the proceedings and everything, um, it's actually this happened in October, but let's just read it, okay? The International Tribunal. Oh, before I start, I'm sorry. I forgot the cardinal thing about being a YouTuber. Make sure that y'all like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But anyways, the International Tribunal on Human Rights Abuses against Black, Brown, and Indigenous peoples was held October 23rd, which was my solar return, through the 25th at the Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial and Educational Center in Washington Heights, New York City, aka Turtle Island, Lanap or Lenape, I don't know how to pronounce that land. Um, the main theme of the tribunal was we still charge genocide in recognition of the recharged genocide, the crime of government against the Negro people, a 1951 petition to the United States, to the United Nations signed by dozens of notables, including Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Claudia Jones, Harry Haywood, and Paul Robeson. Okay, now I want to make a note here that you know the petition was put in 1951 and it's 2021, so you can do the math on how long it took for them to even listen and hear the issue. The 2021 indictment against, I want to make sure y'all can see this, so I'm gonna zoom a little closer. Here, let me make sure that y'all can. Okay, yeah, that's way better. Okay, the 2021 indictment is against the United States of America, represented by its president, Department of State, federal and state policing, agencies, and other governmental institutions. The following is an edited version of the findings presented at a press conference at the United Nations Church Center, October 25th. Go to the Spirit of Mandela Facebook page. They have the link for video testimonies, findings, and verdict. WW will be writing on the 5 indictments, including testimonies of witnesses and future issues. So we're probably going to come back to this, and we may look at the videos today. I don't know, but let's read about the background of this. The panel of jurists heard testimony emphasizing the millions upon millions of indigenous and African peoples murdered, disappeared, and nearly exterminated over a period from 1492 through the present. Further, the witnesses and prosecution argued that the wrongs have been historic and deliberate, with colonization, racism, militarism, imperialism, materialism, criminalization, patriarchy, neocolonialism, and internal colonialism as part of the larger process that now manifests itself in medical and digital apartheid, chemical warfare, environmental violence and racism, divestment, and a pandemic of accessible guns and drugs, with the majority of gun violence perpetuated by police and security forces in the false claim of upholding law and order. That is a lot to break down, but I just want to talk about, I want to kind of break down some of these themes that they're saying. Um, in essence, what they're talking about, especially in the second half with the medical and digital apartheid, basically what they're saying is, medicines like the, what, I'm not going to say it because, they be flagging and tagging, are designed to, you know, kill us, sterilize us. With the digital apartheid, I'll say from the police cams of us like getting murdered, like it's murder porn, or like the internet being used to traffic humans, um, to all of that stuff, all of that. That's what they're talking about. Chemical warfare. I come from Flint, Michigan. They literally poisoned the water system, and they knew that it was poison and didn't say anything for years. And now my city is known for being poisoned. And of course, I don't even have to break down the environmental violence and racism. I mean, you can look at how inner cities look, and that's environmental violence in itself when you got to walk over broken bottles, and redlining with the racism and environment. Divestment, meaning like the gentrification, they take all the money into one specific spot in the inner city, and then the rest dies. You know, um, and come on, we know about the guns and drugs. I'm not even going to talk about that. Um, so let's go on. Statements were made testifying to new forms of colonialism, which include the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex, and the commercialization of our health and privatization and commodification of all social services. Meaning, they kind of crippled our ability to sustain ourselves with these so-called social services, with the food stamps, with the uh, public housing. All of those services are meant to put a glass ceiling on top of your head. That's why people can just kick you out of your place. um, the testimonies included substantial evidence of the erasure of histories, which is what they're trying to do even today as we speak, with they're trying to prevent schools from teaching slavery now. Distortion and cultural misappropriation contributes to and exaggerates the attempted invisibilization and denial of people's basic humanity. We can go to how they depict ancient Egyptians as white. I mean, that's the most basic thing, you know? That is literally the most basic thing. And we're talking about distortion where most, if not all, visuals and media, black people are portrayed in two ways, either extra thuggish or homosexual. You don't really get it in between. It's a niche amount of TV shows that shows like the actual. Shout out to Generation X. Hey, if you want to come up here, let me know, because we both can dissect this for real. But yeah, there is a lack of diverse examples of what it means to be black. Like, it's all niche. It's all niche, and even if we're like, even I've noticed that even if we're shown in different aspects, in some way, shape, or form, we are victimized or diluted. So the profound impacts of all these realities extend beyond the erasure and attempt to exterminate black, brown, and indigenous lives. Hence, as one witness stated, the colonization of the spirit and mind continues to this day. And that's facts. The testimonies of this tribunal, um, let me tell you this too. Most masculine black men are more often than not dating a different race. It's always going to be a white woman or an Asian or, a Hispanic. You never really see powerful black men with a equally powerful black woman without some type of dysfunction, without arguments, without cheating, without, you know, that kind of stuff. Um but let me continue. Let me start over. I'm sorry. The testimonies of the tribunal reaffirm the traditional wisdom and knowledge of Black, Brown, and Indigenous peoples. Strong evidence was presented on the indomitable, unbreakable resistance and resilience of the people's struggle for justice and dignity in the face of egregious, human rights violations and crimes against humanity. This spirit of collective survival shone through. The 2021 International Tribunal on U.S. human rights abuse against Black, brown, and indigenous peoples was initiated by a U.S. coalition in the spirit of Mandela. Its own recognized legacy based on efforts dating from the 1951 We Charge Genocide petition to the present rests on the idea that any examination of U.S. human rights must be done in an international context. The panel of jurists came together as an independent body made up of legal scholars, human rights advocates, and activists and community leaders. Utilizing the international criminal law on genocide and other instruments, the panel convened to hear and review the testimony organized by Spirit of Mandela legal team. The accused, though informed, did not respond to the charges and indictment against them, nor did they appear as invited to present a defense. And that is very, very important. That is a very important effect because even though you know we're giving them a chance to speak, about our issues, even with the UN, the United States still refuses to acknowledge its role as a collective. Like, I will be doing another show possibly later or maybe tomorrow about how, like, an organization finally admitted that, their role in oppressing black people as far as like institutionalized like psychological biases and things of that nature. But yeah, but we'll talk about that uh on another show. They still refuse to even show up. It's crazy. Um the proceedings, the following is a summarized and preliminary presentation of the testimony. Now, like I said, we're going through this whole thing. So, police killings. Testimony was heard regarding an alarming pattern and practice of police murdering black, brown, and indigenous people with impunity. We were informed that a recent commission of inquiry found that black people are 3.5 times more likely than white people to be killed by police when blacks are not attacking or do not have a weapon. Disaggregated data for other peoples is lacking. We're going to talk. Oh, no, let's stop there. We know that. I don't have to stop here long. We understand that police kill us. Like, we know that. It's damn near their job description. Mass incarceration. Testimony emphasized that in the case of U.S. constitutional law, while the 13th Amendment promised the abolition of the process of chattel slavery, it in fact created an exception incentivizing the incarceration of people of African descent and other peoples. Further, they argued that a school to prison pipeline has been set in motion by the racialized policies and programs of the U.S. federal and state governments. I'm going to stop right there because I'm sure you've seen the picture of a prison and a school side by side, and it's literally the way that the lunchrooms are set up. Literally, how they made us like stand in lines with our hands in our pockets, like asking permission for the bathroom. Transforming our minds not only to become workers and listeners instead of innovators and thinkers and bosses, but they're also encouraging us to be so uniform that if we went to prison, we would be comfortable because in some shape, form, or fashion, it would be the same way, even down to the school trays and the way that they have us stand in line and feed us. Like, it's just like prison. It's just like prison. Even if you think about how they started implementing school uniforms, what is the difference between a unified school uniform and the uniforms that prisoners have to wear? There is none. Uh, excuse me. One testimonial noted the law is used as a weapon of war against black, brown, and indigenous peoples. Further testimony indicates that there are U.S. policies of wars on poverty, wars on drugs, wars on terror, and others, amounting to a war on black, brown, and indigenous peoples as they disproportionately criminalize their youth and communities. Excuse me. Political prisoners, prisoners of war. Arguments were made presenting a criminalization of legitimate political struggles, most particularly of black, brown, and indigenous peoples. One witness testified that it is like a counterintelligence program on steroids. Several witnesses testified that with regard to traditional torture techniques, there's ample, evidence of solitary confinement lasting for decades, which goes so far beyond the UN constituted definitions of torture that they defy any modern standard of humane government. I'm gonna stop there. You know why? Because if y'all remember the NFAC not effing around coalition, their leader, I don't want to misname him. Let me see. Um, let me look this up really quick because I don't. I believe it's Jam Master Jay. Yeah. Okay. See, I got a good memory. Yeah, Jam Master Jay was arrested on so called like basically like on some terroristic whatever, and we have not heard from him. We don't even know if he's alive still. And they quickly scooped him up because they were gaining traction and they were becoming like the new like revitalized Black Panther, and you don't hear nothing from them. And then not too long ago, I think one of the members was murdered, and I think they got into like a type of shootout or something with a cop, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that violence against police is right, but what I'm saying is any type of organized group that actually wants change and isn't associated with a bigger quote unquote platform in the system is basically a threat. Further testimony was presented arguing that decades long sentences have been imposed for those imprisoned for their political beliefs. One witness stated the U.S. is the only industrialized nation in the world that denies the existence of political prisoners. Right? Because everybody that's put to jail is automatically um, a criminal, just a criminal, or terrorist, which are just action words. Environmental racism. Testimony was received arguing the impact of environmental violence. They asserted that the climate crisis disproportionately impacts Black, Brown, and Indigenous peoples, constituting environmental violence. The prosecution contended that there is a deliberate and callous poisoning of land, water, air, and soil, reflecting the valuing of profits over people, which threatens the survival of the planet and impacts devastatingly the lives of Black, Brown, and Indigenous peoples. Now, from personal experience, this is true. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. Like I said earlier, we all know about the poison pipes, but it gets even deeper than that. I cannot, on the top of my head, think of what the road is, but there is a river. No, it's on Flushing Road in Flint, Michigan, actually. Yeah, it's on Flushing Road. There is a river that is like by some houses and stuff, and like right down the street from some apartments. And they literally, like right around the corner, there's like a landfill type situation, and they dump sludge in the river, and you can smell it. Like you can, it's just raw sewage. Like in the morning, you can damn near see like excuse my like you can like damn near see the fumes coming off in the river. And of course, we know about chemtrails, and we know about the fluoride in the water, and we know, we know all that stuff. It's not a in the pesticides that they spray on our vegetables and spray on the soil to pretend like they're killing weeds, but people don't really think that your vegetables and the grass that you're like walking on, that's still gonna throw up, you're still gonna be inhaling or ingesting those pesticides. Um, and of course, rain in the recycling of the water, it's going to actually bring those toxins into the clouds, and now yeah, all that. Um, Public health inequities. The testimony highlighted deep public health inequities, including both physical and mental health manifestations. Further assertions were made that the CV-19, because I'm not going to say it, pandemic, and an inadequate and incompetent federal response to this crisis magnified the desperate impact of structural racism affecting access to healthcare. Now, I am not for you getting needle poked, but I will say this, that I do believe that there is a culture of misdiagnosis to either A, get you sicker and have you get um like not symptoms, but what have adverse effects to the medicines that they give you. So then they give you another medicine, they give you and you just slowly dying and dying and dying. I believe that, or like I said, they misdiagnose you and you end up dying from something that you actually had. It's almost like, imagine you when you go to the doctor and you know you are the car that you take to the mechanic, and the mechanic is the doctor, and you know you say, oh, my muffler is messed up, can you get that fixed? And then they say, oh, not only is your muffler messed up, but this is, you gotta get your carburetor fixed or whatever, and you have to pay for the carburetor plus, gotta get the muffler fixed, and then they do it wrong, or because you got the cat while they were fixing the muffler, they broke something else, and then so now you're gonna have to go back to them and get it fixed again, and it's just like that. That's the best example I can give. Um, Moreover, testimony was heard regarding indifference to the suffering of groups of people considered expendable due to the profit model of U.S. healthcare, leaving behind those most vulnerable. It is true that Black women die at an alarming rate giving birth when they have a white doctor. That is facts. Um, the prosecution argued that from forced sterilization to food desserts, the junk food. Get my book. Hold on, it's on Amazon. And chemical contamination from toxic stress based on the environment in which lives to the one lives to the criminalization of mental illness. Black, brown, and indigenous people are neglected and left out of any illusion of the human right to health. While these crimes are well documented, they have more rarely been acknowledged, remedied, and addressed with some very uh, distant from public knowledge. Let me reread that. While these crimes are well documented, they have more rarely been acknowledged, remedied, and addressed with some very distant from public knowledge. Meaning, even though they kind of say like, yeah, there is problems, they don't really do anything to fix it, and they don't publicize, the frequency of the issue. Judgment. Despite the need for further deliberation on the extensive submissions and documents from varied expert witnesses, a deep analysis from the jurors found that the process did sufficiently cover the scope and elements of all 5 counts in the indictment as having legal standing and hence legitimacy. Long story short, basically what they saying is all the evidence do point that these crimes are actually happening. The jurists further established that the grounds for each of the 5 counts in the indictment presented the basis for successful intervention due to the extensive testimonies of both witnesses and expert witnesses. A full and detailed judgment will follow regarding our findings on these counts. Any minority position of the jurists will be developed with collective consensus on each count asserted to further advance our recommendations for remediation, reparations, and further actions. After having heard the testimony of numerous victims of police racism, mass incarceration, environmental racism, public health inequities, and of political prisoners slash prisoners of war, together with the expert testimonies and graphic presentations, as well as the copious documentation submitted and admitted in the record, the panel of jurists finds the U.S. and its subdivisions guilty of all 5 counts. We find grounds that acts of genocide have been committed. Signed October 25th, 2021, panel of jurists, Church Center of the United Nations. And these are all of the people. I'm not going to read each name, but shout out to them. So we still have to see where the consequences are going to be, but it is official that the United States have been charged with acts of genocide towards Black, brown, and indigenous people. Now, only time will tell what will come of this, but I just think that it's important and very historic for people to know that this has happened, because at least now it's on paper and it's been acknowledged. Like, the very first thing that the way that you understand that you have a problem is when you acknowledge it. And United States definitely has a problem with killing melanated people. Um we will revisit this because I will be following this, and as much information that comes out, I will be sharing with the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, how does this make you feel? Like, do you feel like this is the first step to reparations? And another question is, what is reparations to you? Is it just money? Is it the acknowledgement? Is it us getting our own state? Is it, having us actually get the land that these false so-called Native Americans are occupying? Or is it a whole new division of carved out land for us? We need to have that discussion, and maybe we can have that discussion later, at a later date, or maybe even later today. I don't know. I kind of do want to have a panel on this. So if you are interested, let me know in the comments if that's something that you want to be a part of. Other than that, I don't have much else to talk about. This is a dope thing, and hopefully, our ancestors and even those who have been affected by all of this negative stuff will be, avenged. Um, Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. For those who are here now and those who will be listening later, please spread the word. Nobody is talking about this. As far as I know, I'm the first podcaster who's talked about this. So please spread the word. Let it be known, and I will actually put the link of this article in the description so you can read it for yourself. And I hope everybody have a blessed day, a blissful day, a productive day. Later on today at 10 p.m. tonight, I will be doing the 200 squat challenge. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I'm going to do it. And just, it's workout motivation. It is, advertisement for my book, and it's actually fun, and exercising is really dope. So I hope y'all enjoy that. Y'all will enjoy that tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna leave like we always do, with love and light. Peace. Mopadanu Iyawomi.
Watch your tone of voice, Buster.
I know shit's been crazy, but you still my baby. And you still got the crown. I'm impatient like the crowd. No, shit's been going down since you ain't been around. But you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around. Yeah. I know this girl named she my future baby mama. It was like a soap opera, how we left with the drama. Girl, you hot like a goosey suit. I miss your shy smile when I talk to you. Hey, you know the energy is pulling you. I don't care about the whoop-de-woo. I just wanna get back to you. Picked up where we left off, lift off. I wanna kiss your mind and your lips, baby. To eat space when you pissed off. Real talk, for real. I know shit's been crazy, but you still my baby. And you still got the crown. I'm impatient like the crowd. No, shit's been going down since you ain't been around. But you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around. And around and around and around. Girl, you know twin flame always come back around.